While it shouldn't come without saying, Call of Duty has had some pretty weird guns across the series timeline, with the weirdest peak starting at Black Ops 2, spiking in Infinite Warfare and ending with Black Ops 4. While some weapons might not look, sound, or perform weird at first impression, there is a lot more to them than meets the eye. In this video, me, Mason, and our good buddy Rowan thought about our choices for the weirdest weapons from every game, starting with Call of Duty 4 to the most recent game as of this recording, which is Black Ops Cold War. Now, of course, this is all personal opinion, as there may have been weirder guns in your eyes. Without further ado, let's get started. Call of Duty 4 was the epitome of a struggle. So many iconic weapons that we would never think would be weird today, but the game did introduce us to a lot of firsts. And my choice is the P90. Simply put, it's weird because of its magazine size. A total of 50 rounds was the highest of any SMG in the game, and only half that of the LMGs. Not to mention its crazy design even by today's standards.
I chose the Scorpion for a number of reasons. First of all, the damage. The close range damage is 50, but after only 10 meters the damage absolutely diminishes to a mere 20. Stopping power is basically the crutch perk with this weapon. The magazine was another setback, only having 20 rounds in comparison to the 30, 32 or even 50 rounds that the other SMGs had. It has one major advantage however, in that it has almost zero recoil. Basically the smaller sibling to Modern Warfare 2's ACR. The final reason is because I actually own a BB gun of this in real life.
I went with the M16 for one simple reason. It was the very first burst weapon in Call of Duty and was the only burst weapon in COD 4. For anyone who has used the semi-auto and full auto weapons in Call of Duty 1, Finest Hour, Call of Duty 2, and Call of Duty 3, this was a big shift in how a weapon could be utilized. It didn't take long for people to realize how broken it actually was. Even with its slow cycle, one burst with stopping power could easily knock out any enemy with only 2 of the 3 bullets. It's a shame that every later version of the M16 is a shadow of its former self.
World at War was similar to COD 4 in having very standard weapons. Treyarch were still carrying weapons over from COD 3, but did manage to include some new ones, some of which are well known in the COD community even to this day. The DP-28 was a carryover weapon from Finest Hour, that itself being a Spark Unlimited game. It's an odd design, yes, but that shouldn't come as a surprise since it was more or less a Russian Lewis gun. It's a capable and fun to use LMG, don't get me wrong, but that rotating dinner plate of a magazine is always gonna make me chuckle.
The PTRS-41 has no right to be in the hands of the average soldier. For a start, it is an anti-tank rifle. Its sole purpose and intention was to penetrate large armoured vehicles. For the longest time, this weapon had the biggest one-hit kill of any sniper in Call of Duty, having a one-shot area going from the bottom of the stomach without stopping power, and with stopping power, this area was increased all the way to the lower legs. It had so much power, it was one of only 3 weapons that could actually give people and take limbs off, the other 2 being the 2 shotguns. And the first weapon to surpass this awesome damage? Black Ops 3's SVG-100.
The MP40 on paper is a standard, slow-firing, fully automatic SMG, and on PC this was in fact the case. However, on console this gun made the M16 look like a spitball gun. With a base damage profile capable of killing in 2 shots at extreme ranges, all you need is Juggernaut and steady aim to become the walking receiver of every death threat known to man. Or if that wasn't enough, put stopping power on for a one-shot headshot, cause we needed a 9mm pistol round to be able to snipe people better than an actual sniper rifle. Take that, PTRS!
What? Modern Warfare 2 was the now old Infinity Ward later turned Respawn Entertainment's last proper Call of Duty as a full team before they went on to develop the now beloved Titanfall series. What they left behind was one of the absolute most broken catastrophes of an attempt at weapon balance. I mean, hear me out. Imagine riding on a motorbike one-handed while holding a shotgun in the other hand, flipping it around like the T-800. Funny, because this is my choice. The infamous Akimbo Model 1887. What made the 1887 so bad to encounter pre-patch? Are you even looking at this footage right now?
The AUG heavy barrel automatic rifle may not seem to be that weird in first glance, but Infinity Ward may have made the first ever hybrid weapon in Call of Duty, an LMG that behaves more like an assault rifle. This is evident because it only has a 42 round mag in comparison to the other 100 round LMGs. It also has much better handling characteristics than the rest of its peers, lower recoil, faster movement, and faster reloading speeds.
The WA 2000 has a very fitting name, because when someone hears that this sniper was actually in this game, they go, what? With the intervention in Barrett taking all of the glory, it's hard to remember that this weapon actually existed. But let's be real, who uses snipers in this game when grenade launchers, one-man army, and danger close exist? And I don't see anyone using the WA 2000 for quickscoping or trickshotting, but that Mr. Yuck sticker is a nice touch.
Black Ops 1 was Treyarch's answer to MW2, by making the whole game slower. That's not even getting into the developers' hatred against quickscoping for the first 6 months of the life cycle, but guess what? It did not work. People still quickscoped like normal, albeit with random sway. The HS-10s were a limp sausage attempt at replicating the models, albeit semi-automatic and not lever action. It had 4 shots in the tube, and actually had some decent point-blank damage. Note that I said HS-10s, and not the HS-10, because unless you already guessed it, this is the only shotgun in Black Ops 1 that you can akimbo.
Black Ops 1 may just have one of the weirdest, if not the weirdest weapon ever created, the H&K G11. With its crazy tube-like design, a prototype for caseless ammunition, and a complete lack of a barrel, it might be the most futuristic weapon ever made. In 1990. Unfortunately, the weapon never saw military service thanks to the reunification of Germany and the downfall of the Soviet Union. In-game, the G11 has Treyarch-created iron sights like most of the other weapons in the game, but the unique thing is you can only put 2 attachments on it, and they're both long-range scopes. One of them, the low-power scope, is based on the real-life integral scope, and the other one being the variable zoom, which is only available for the snipers.
The PM63 belongs on a list of submachine guns that no one really paid attention to, while the AK-74 and MP5K took all the attention. Among these weapons, the PM63 stands out as the rotten stepchild that no one understands, likes, or gives enough of a shit to prove its worth. Only a 20-round magazine, no worthy attachments, and the forward bolt mechanism being the most unique feature about it. With very few redeemable qualities, it makes this weapon forgettable in a list of already forgettable SMGs. I'm surprised Ian McCollum hasn't talked about it yet. Oh.
Modern Warfare 3 was created by Sledgehammer. No joke. While Infinity Ward was still in turmoil from MW2, Michael Corncake's beloved team of Blunt Instruments helped with creating the final campaign in the trilogy, while Infinity Ward worked on the multiplayer. It only took 6 months to complete, and it paid off as MW3 was the highest selling game in the franchise up until BO3. It's also the only Call of Duty to spark an Uno argument.
I don't have it, you fucking...
Is that a gun in your suitcase, or are you just happy to see me? Oh wait, that suitcase is the gun. Yep, the FMG9 was a unique case, haha. For this we will focus on the single FMG9 and not the infamous Akimbos. The uniqueness of the single weapon is its pull-out animation. Whenever you first swap the FMG9 in your current life, you have to physically pull the weapon apart before you can start firing. Fun fact, with the Akimbo FMGs, your first swap is flipping them open like the Akimbos. Absolutely mental.
Now, Modern Warfare 3 may not have had the weirdest weapon in real life, but it definitely had the weirdest weapon in the franchise at that point in time. The XM25 is an airburst grenade launcher, with a very unique ability. By aiming down the reticle and pressing your sprint button or sprint key, you can prime its minimum detonation distance. That means if you can adjust to the parabolic arc of grenades, you can treat the XM25 as a sniper, or as an explosive shotgun similar to what we saw in Battlefield 3.
The RSASS is an acronym for Random Spam Assault Sniper Stupidity. Be real, you didn't use this like an MSR. You treated this weapon like the MK14 ACOG or whatever drugs the Beatles were on when they made Revolution 9. You used it as if it were the Kilo 141 with the sniper scope while listening to Burn It Down by Skillet. You need help, or maybe you need to start using the MP7. That thing is really powerful.
As powerful as one high-quality propane, I tell you what.
Black Ops 2 may just be the most lawfully balanced game in the COD franchise. If weapon balancing was a Dungeons & Dragons alignment chart, BO2 would be a lawful neutral. That aside, we had a hard time deciding which weapons were the most unique, so let's name a few good examples that didn't make the cut but were damn close to being chosen. The M8A1, AN94, M1216, KSG, Executioner, and the improved special weapons. And then comes my choice. The hammer was arguably too early of a concept, but a good one nevertheless. It was basically a beefed up Scar H, which was designed at the US military's request for what's now known as an Infantry Automatic Rifle, or IAR. The weird aspect was in the name, Heat Adaptive Modular Rifle. It could adapt its fire rate depending on how much heat it was producing, which is why it would slow down the longer you fired. In-game, the bullets start at 940 RPM, eventually slowing down to 625 RPM. In real life, if fired for long enough, it would eventually stop altogether. Not jamming, just stop firing. This makes you wonder how long it would reliably fire in Arctic conditions, let's say at the Earth's north and south poles, where temperatures would possibly drop down to a murderous negative 69 degrees Celsius. Nice.
I went for a personal favourite with this game, the Vector. This weapon received a major upgrade from its Modern Warfare 2 version and was an enjoyable weapon, but was overshadowed by the two high-power SMGs and the MP7. What makes this weapon special is the real-life weapon's unique recoil mitigation system, known as the Chris Super V. This system makes the Vector's recoil more controllable in fully automatic fire, and Treyarch actually implemented this recoil system in-game. The other Chris-based weapon, the Cap 40, also uses the same system. Another unique feature is when you attach Select Fire. The fire rate speeds up from 940 to 1250 in the burst, it becomes a 2-round by default, and recoil is significantly reduced, only sharing this with the AN94.
The Chickum was a nice concept, being the first of the burst submachine guns in Call of Duty history. It also had a really fast cyclic burst, with no delay in between shots, allowing players with a good trigger finger to fire it about as fast, if not faster, than any other weapon in its class. Or you could put a select fire on it because you didn't want to break your fingers tapping your fire button or key 200 times in one match. Oh, and those iron sights belong in 1897.
Ghosts was a launch title for the Xbox One, which meant it existed on both 7th and 8th gen consoles, including that freak child of a generational downgrade that was the Wii U. Other than that, it was absolutely chaotic with the weapon balance, with barely any nerfs or god forbid buffs to the already fast time to kill. Imagine this, you're driving a Saab 93 Turbo, and then you remember, oh yeah, these guys also make guns. That's right, the Saab beautiful CBJMS might not be the prettiest gun in the world, but it sure as hell gets the job done. Fastest firing gun in Ghosts, with strong bullets to match. This little fucker shoots armor-shredding tungsten rounds, meant to bypass the ballistic vest support streak that everyone totally used.
Using a light machine gun like a Resident Evil 4 controller. Yep, that's the chainsaw. Holding a goddamn LMG like an actual chainsaw. You had no actual aim. Instead, you had this small cone of hipfire acting similarly to your aim down sight. But you could add rapid fire to this. You could add the goddamn grenade launcher to this. Haven't we already suffered enough with this game?
The Ripper was a post-launch DLC weapon that has a unique mechanic shared with its post-launch companion, the Maverick. This bullpup submachine gun could extend its pup to become a big boy in order to combat enemies at greater distance and shorten up again once its enemies went limp. Nothing makes this weapon any sillier than painting it with quite literal weed patterns while Snoop Dogg acts as your personal commentator.
Advanced Warfare was Sledgehammer's first full game in the Call of Duty series. Quite honestly, all three of us really enjoyed this game. It's in all of our top 3 favorite COD games. Thanks to the fact that the game takes place in 2054 to 2060, Sledgehammer went on an all-out field day with crazy weapon ideas. Like colorful lasers! No, but seriously, the EM1 is actually listed as a heavy weapon along with the XMGs and EPM3. One of its many unique features is its constant one-frame hit-scan mechanic. As a constant beam of energy, it will hit a player every single frame, but with very low damage to balance. Not even 10 damage at close range. On 7th gen at 30 FPS, it's a pretty weak weapon. On 8th gen at 60 FPS, it is a very viable competitive weapon, but on PC where frame rate is kept at 90, it might as well be the most broken weapon in the game. Now if keyboard and mouse players stop using the XMGs and S12 on the other hand, that would be a great thing.
The NA-45 was at the time what I think to be the craziest weapon concept in Advanced Warfare. This sniper had a 2-round system. A primer is set down on the floor with the first round. The second round is the catalyst. It must be planted within a half-meter radius of the primer for the explosive payload to detonate. This is evident from the welded double barrel. It has one major drawback though, the abysmal damage if you miss one of your 2 rounds. A non-explosive round only does 35 damage, and it makes up for this by having a 3.5 times multiplier for headshots, making it a one-shot kill to the head no matter what.
The XMGs are the result of taking fisting to the next level. Shove those arms into giant mechanized minigun hands and die like an idiot, because these things are completely outclassed by all the other weapons in this game. Unless you're me, in which you go on a 25 kill streak with them. Just remember to never enter lockdown mode. Brass Beast Heavies aren't exactly good at dodging bullets, and in this case, neither are you.
Black Ops 3 began the slow downward spiral for the COD franchise that lasted until late 2019. With its continuation of futuristic movements and the controversial supply drop system, it was a very Marmite game. The Banshee was not a Marmite situation, it's just a bad gun. Like seriously, a projectile slug shotgun in a game that focuses on advanced movement? Yeah, no thanks. Plus, the projectiles travel at such a slow rate that even in a non-jetpack game mode, if that even existed, enemies would still be able to just sprint away from the projectile.
Now, Black Ops 3 saved its final DLC of the life cycle to be the craziest ones ever. The pizza gun. It's exactly what I just said it is. It's a pizza gun. You shoot pizza slicing wheels, and the damage number is a whopping 2,000. It bounces on every surface as many times as it wants to for 5 seconds before disintegrating. I mean, I have nothing else to say except
pizza time.
The Rift E9 is on many different layers of stupid. When it was first launched, it could destroy a mothership in 6 shots. Now that it's been nerfed, there is little to no reason to use it. While it shares the energy projectile used by the Banshee, it does less damage, requiring at least 2 of the slowly moving projectiles to hit a target to eliminate them. By then, you would have been mowed down by one of the 7 VMPs, 2 Vespers, or 3 Broccolis spamming infinite ballistic cheese in your direction.
Infinite Warfare was my favorite COD game up until MW 2019. It had a stellar campaign and a superb zombies mode, and I spent way too much goddamn money on this game. So the RVN was the first DLC weapon released for Infinite Warfare and the first DLC weapon I ever got in any Call of Duty game. It's a simple 2-round autoburst rifle that can kill in 3 hits, but for some screwed up reason, if you hold the weapon swap button or weapon alt mode key on PC, it turns into oversized electric galvanuckles. Other than that, solid weapon to use in game.
The Venom X is a throwback to the DLC remake of Dome in Ghosts, the most obscure DLC pack ever made because everyone only bought it for the Ripper. Now you see, you can only own this weapon in Infinite Warfare if you own every other ranged DLC weapon. Thankfully the melees don't count. This is a literal alien nutsack gun that fires alien eggs. You have 2 modes of firing. The fire button launches a sticky egg similar to a Semtex, which explodes after a single second. Your ADS button launches a bouncy egg that will explode after a few bounces. In short, the Venom X turns you into Demo Man.
The Type 2. Because why have 1 gun when you can have 3? That's a lot of numbers. All I know is that the FMG9 had twins, and I have only played this game for 5 hours.
World War II was Sledgehammer's response to the community outcry about the futuristic movement games, especially after IDubbbz's abysmal reveal trailer. But why was every weapon in World War II so unbelievably unrealistic? We got an MP40 firing at almost double the fire rate of its real-life counterparts, the WAF is basically a Vesper, and we have a fictional World War II Brecci. Like, what the hell? The Cavalry Shield, however, is a breath of fresh air. Although it's tied to the Cavalry Division, it's a great weapon at your disposal, even though it's not as versatile as the Heavy Shield in ADUB, or the Razorback lookalike from Infinite Warfare's rearguard trait found in the Phantom combat rig.
Having got Diamond for every single sniper in World War II, including all the DLC snipers, it all came down as to which one was the weirdest. The PTRS had returned from World at War, but by 2017 it was basically the cult classic. The newest weird sniper was the SDK 9mm, a sniper that uses 9mm rounds. Goddamn pistol ammo. The other weird part comes from its aesthetic design. The thing looks more like a double-barreled grenade launcher, with the rechambering bolt located at the back of the stock, and the magazine is right at the bottom of the stock. The final weird thing about the SDK? It doesn't exist. For all we know, it was just a hoax gun.
The Ryby Rolls. An aircraft-mounted machine gun. Yeah, that's a lightweight run-and-gun style weapon for sure. It does have a really nice visual touch, that being as you empty the magazine, you can see the rounds remaining getting smaller. Just like with the LSAT from Black Ops 2 or the P90 in Call of Duty 4, this neat visual touch can be helpful in hardcore modes for keeping track of your shots.
Black Ops 4 doesn't exist. And if it does, the chances are we deliberately forgot it existed. Until we had to reinstall it for this. Remember the M14? Yeah, it got a pretty hefty fucking buff in BO4 in the form of the Vendetta, alongside the operator mod it sported. Bipod. Now, that doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, read the description. While prone, the weapon becomes fully automatic. I'm sorry, but what you're telling me is this weapon magically develops the mental capacity to use select fire because of a fucking bipod? Sign me the fuck up for whoever did that brain surgery.
The S6 Stingray was a post-launch weapon. A 2-round burst tactical rifle. Seems fairly normal at this point. That is until you find out it's actually a projectile weapon rather than your conventional hit scan. No, what makes this even weirder was, like every other weapon in Black Ops 4, was its operator mod. A 2-round burst explosive projectile. According to the people who found the weapon stats, this version of the Stingray can kill in 33 milliseconds. On console. That's a single frame.
The Outlaw is the combined work of Red Dead Redemption and Cyberpunk, stealing the ideas of the PO6 from Black Ops 3 and making it do the damage of a pellet gun. Unless you really want the camos, you're honestly better off using the Paladin for its one-shot potential, because this gun does more hit markers than the Rytec hitting a headshot.
Or maybe I just suck at aiming.
I hit markered! Modern Warfare 2019 revived the COD community in more than one way. There hadn't been an MDub game since MDub 3 in 2011, and we were all hyped. This game has now become the highest selling game in the franchise after just 1 year. Hell, it might be the highest selling game from PS4 sales alone, and it was totally because of Warzone, am I right? An ISO, often called a disk image, is an archive file that contains an identical copy or image of data found on an optical disc, like a CD or DVD. Wait a minute, wrong ISO, huh? Ah, there we go. The ISO feels out of place in the SMG category. It belongs with the PP2K and MP9 in a separate machine pistol category. It has fairly low damage, a very small magazine, clunky iron sights, and the attachments on offer hardly help in any way. But that doesn't mean it's inherently bad altogether. It can be pretty fun to use, and this game I played on Oil Rig highlights the fun you can have. In short, it's a weak weapon but fun to use.
Now you remember back to when I mentioned the NA-45 in Advanced Warfare. Now clearly Infinity Ward took some inspiration with the brand new Barrett, by the fact it has two ammo conversions. One of them being explosive rounds, and the other one being thermite rounds. However, we're going to focus on the explosive rounds. Instructions are as follows. Step 1. Hit your enemy. Step 2. Watch the body fly away in the explosion. Step 3. Now it's best not to use explosive or thermite rounds in Warzone, as they come with a much slower aim down sight time, as well as a steeper bullet drop, and you don't want that at longer ranges.
Do you want a marksman rifle with the movement of an SMG? Then boy, do I have the gun for you! For the low price of more than half your magazine and the loss of full auto fire, you can use the updated version of the Modern Warfare 3 UMP-45, presenting the Hollow Point Striker 45, with enough damage potential to make any sniper on Search and Destroy pull their hair out. Look at that magazine, that stubby, puny, limp dick of a tree trunk. That thing is full of bullets that could kill a bear. Or I guess a Russian. Russian bears. Or Russian badgers! We're so getting sued.
And now we come to the most recent entry in the franchise. As of this recording, that's Call of Duty Black Ops sequel Cold War II. I have personally not played the game yet, nor do I intend to in the future. Meanwhile, Mason got Dark Ether in literally 2 weeks, fucking sweaty nerd. The Krieg 6, or as it should technically be called, the Audiomachine 5C, is only in my mentions because it's Swedish. As I said, I have not played this game, nor do I intend to whatsoever.
After having used every single weapon in the game extensively for getting Dark Ether and zombies, I can say that the weirdest weapon in the game is actually the Tuey Z83. I'm not joking. The last time we had a Chinese weapon in COD was all the way back in Black Ops 2, with the Type 25, the Shikun and the QBB. However, this bootleg assault rifle has sporadic recoil for the first few shots, but what it really means is you bought a cheap piece of shit. You should have gone for something with first party performance rather than third party bollocks.
And the KSP-45. Clearly, Treyarch realized how powerful the Hollow Point Striker was, because this thing we call the KSP-45 trades out these hollow points for rubber bullets that do the damage of a Nerf gun. It would be okay if it wasn't for all the CSGO transfers using the Tundra. You'll be dead faster than you can say peak long.
And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this absolute monster of a video. It took us quite a while to make, and we hope you enjoyed it. My name is Fire Shadow, have a good day, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Hey up!